We'll start right into it. So the first one is from Unpopular Opinions subreddit, and it's by user kikonyc, and this is only 22 hours ago. So they're saying best friend dynamic isn't and don't always have to be balanced.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a good friend who considers you their best friend while you have your best friend over there. Your best friend over there might have a best friend you've never even met. It's all okay. Best friends don't need to be a 50-50 reciprocal. And I find that I think when you're younger...
Wait, sorry, it's already the end of...
Yeah, so these are very quick. So this episode is going to be quite quick. So these aren't stories.
I thought like, oh, it's the introduction. Then here we go.
No. Okay. So these aren't stories. It's more like opinions and people kind of explain. So I'm not sure what the age is of this person. So I find that this opinion is quite normal as you grow up. People's networking is quite spread out. But I think when you're younger, you're in high school, it's almost like your best friend, you have to be each other's best friends where there's drama. But I think you still get drama with your friends of sometimes you might be someone's best friend and they might have expectations of you, but you might not.
Don't name names.
Yeah, no names. But I know sometimes you get these expectations from your friends, right?
I think that for many of us, I'm not talking about just over friendships, but we, of course, like especially all the friends that you're sort of like good friends since childhood, you have that your norm, and you have like your routine. And I think that when you grow older with like work and more people, you socialize more. So you have more people in your life that you are also give them a bit of time, not just only of time, but I think you also your interest changing and, like your preference changing. So maybe you and your best friend, like in high school, might not share the same passion anymore, so I think that friendship can also sort of like have its own cycle, but it doesn't mean that like you're not going to be best friend anymore. I think that all good friends, even if you don't hang out or talk every day, if the connection is there and if you are really good friends, it's connect like very automatically. So I think it's you don't need to have be like, okay, I call her every 3 days a week, so she need to call me 3 days a week too. It doesn't have to be like apple to apple. Yeah, I think by like gesture or behavior, but still I get it sometimes that you can't avoid expectation, but I guess that like don't think too much about it. And I think that, of course, we have to go through a different cycle of life. So, it's fair for someone to feel that way, but sometimes they have to feel that way so they learn how to move forward. Or else if you feel like bad about this and if you are really good friends, you should be able to talk to your friend about it. And they're like, hey, actually, I'm a little bit. So the other friend should be more mindful.
I think, I don't have a lot of friendships in my life. So, but I think it's also my fault. I'm not a big, I don't put a lot of effort into relationships. And it's not that I don't, how do I say this? It's not that I don't want friendships in my life, but for example, with my family, I love my family very much, but maybe I'm not the best at showing it or I think it could be perceived from other point of view that it's low effort, and I don't want them to feel that way. It's something that I'm working on. So I don't think I'm a really good give a lot of advice for like as far as like maintaining friendships as an adult, because when you're younger it's easy, like you have homeroom together or you see each other every day at school, and then it's like you form cliques and you form friendships because you have mutual interest things that you do, but for example, I think you have some insight because I think maybe you've dealt with maybe disappointing friends that maybe they felt they were they're like you were their best friend versus, so maybe
You know,
could tell.
sometimes like this thing happened because I think for them. I think on their behalf. That's why like at the end it turned out that sometimes I didn't ask him or her, but I'm like, because I thought that the person might not be free or so many plans that one would have. But actually, I should have asked. No matter what, I think I should have asked and let the person be the one who make a decision if they can or they can't make it. Yeah. So I think that one of my learning is that, you know, don't think for other people. Just ask them. But I think for your case, I think you're very independent. So that's why it's not like you don't make an effort, but you also overthinking in your own way. So I think you're very like you love your family, and I think that you're doesn't want to do anything to impose on them. But I think here in Thailand, it's very family oriented, you know, and no one feels like, oh, you're a burden to me. You're like don't there's like irritating is less, you know. So I think it's like very close family thing that you always stop by, or you buy something, you message, you know. Like I like lately I've been messaging with my aunt every other days or at least once a week, you know. I mean, I don't know, I just feels like especially when they're growing older, I wanna text them a bit more, even like it's just a funny chat or we just send photo to each other. It's also nice to remembering them, and it's also nice that especially for the one that doesn't have kids. Yeah.
I should call my family.
But you know, at least I think it's good that you know what is the weakness or where to improve. So I think it's a good starting point.
I mean, it's funny. We actually had this conversation just like a couple hours ago at lunch, and I think it's, I think I'm very like, I like my space, and I'm quite introverted, so I feel that sometimes when I'm like I like have the next day or today planned already in my head, and I'm like, okay, great, like Friday I'm going to be able to like relax at home, and I've already planned out kind of like what I'm going to do, and then somebody will be like, hey, do you want to come, you know, do this and join, stuff like that. And sometimes I feel I don't want to, I'm also a people pleaser, so I don't want to let them down. So I'm like, okay, sure, I will come and, you know, come and show support, stuff like that. And then sometimes I'll feel like in a little bit, I feel like I just want to stay home. And then so like when I have something that I maybe want to invite people to, I feel like I don't want to be that person in other people's lives that like, you know, of course they're going to be like nice, and they'll probably like come if, you know, if they want. But then at the same time, I feel like, oh, I don't want to be that person that's like, maybe they don't want to like, you know, maybe they don't want to join, you know, or like, yeah, that, I think it's a negative on my part, and it's, yeah, it's something I need to work on. In the end, the unpopular opinion is that best friend dynamic isn't and don't always have to be balanced. I think this person probably thinks it's an unpopular opinion because they're younger, and they probably feel like my best friend, almost like when you're younger, you feel like you have this like exclusivity with your best friends. It's like
the inner circle.
Yeah, and like when they start like hanging out with other people, you feel like, you know what, you're hanging out with other people, and like you're my best friend, you know. And then, you know, as you grow older, you have work friends, you have, you know, family friends, stuff like that, and then it just changes. So I think I think this person will come to realize that this is not an unpopular opinion as they get older, right?
I do think so.
Okay, that's one done, one and done.